This is my audience over here. When I first started thinking about a topic for my informative speech, to be honest, human trafficking was not only on the bottom of my list, it was not on the list at all. It's not because it's not something that is important to me. It's actually quite the opposite. When I was thinking about it, I thought this is way too important a topic for me to be giving in this situation. It feels like it should be given by a senator or a king to a large group of people and just given by someone much bigger than I am. But obviously I changed my mind, and the reason I did is because I do believe in that in the power of awareness. I believe that a small spark can start a flame. And so even though I'm not giving this to a large group of people, I think that any information that can get out about this is important. It's something that affects the whole world. It's a global injustice and something that we can all come together on, hopefully, to eradicate it. The point of this speech is just to give y'all some more information, some things that I've learned about human trafficking over the last few weeks, and hopefully will inspire you to do some of your own research to learn more about this, so that maybe if you come into a situation in your future, you'll know a little more how to help a victim if that were to ever take place. As far as who needs to be aware of human trafficking, I know that a lot of you are going into the medical profession, or like me, you might be wanting to become a teacher. You might be even going into law enforcement. All of those, for obvious reasons, it would be important for you to know about human trafficking and what a victim and a trafficker might look like. But really, it's for everyone. Everyone stands to gain from knowing as much information as they can on this topic. First, I'd just like to tell you what human trafficking is. According to the Department of Homeland Security, it is modern day slavery. That is the use of force, fraud, or coercion to obtain labor or commercial sex acts. However, if someone is under the age of 18, force, coercion, or fraud is not necessary for it to be considered human trafficking. There are basically two types of human trafficking. The first one is labor. According to the U.S. Department of Labor, they have identified 248 goods from 75 countries that use forced labor or child labor to produce those goods. And this is a $32 billion industry in the United States alone. So obviously that number is a lot bigger worldwide, but just to take it home, that's what we're looking at. Sex trafficking is the other type of human trafficking. Approximately 80% of all human trafficking in the U.S. is sex trafficking, and the U.S. is the most common destination. Why it's the most common destination? There are a lot of variables, but a lot of it just has to do with money. There's a lot of money to be made here, and so the traffickers go where the most money is to be made. According to Physinik, I'm going to give you some common risk factors. Obviously, with any of these lists that I show you, you can look it up, and there are much larger lists. Everyone, honestly, is at risk for human trafficking. But there are some people who are particularly vulnerable, and so I kind of just want to give you a short list of who that might be. as a baseline. People with little legal protection, a lot of times in impoverished communities. Another example is people from abusive homes. Runaways are particularly vulnerable because a lot of times they'll be running from an abusive home, and they'll just kind of have someone take them under their wing and go, hey, let me help you out, let me give you a place to stay, and then all of a sudden, before they know it, they're being trafficked. Anyone suffering from a mental disorder is vulnerable, and also people with gang involvement. According to Cynical, these are some statistics on human trafficking. There are approximately 40.3 million slaves worldwide. 1 in 4 of those are children. 71% are women and girls. 600,000 to 800,000 of them are crossing borders each year, and 2 million children are sexually exploited each year in the United States alone. Some of the significant signs of trafficking, according to Dauber, Griffin, and Beck. Once again, not an exhaustive list, but someone who is fearful or seems to be nervous around the person that maybe seem to control them. They might have signs of physical or psychological abuse. They may seem bonded by debt, distrustful of police and other authority figures, and not be in possession of their own legal documents. An example of this that I read about was there was someone that just worked at the airports taking tickets and things like that, and she just noticed there was a man in his 30s and a girl looked like she was between 17 and 20, and she just seemed really nervous, and she didn't like answering questions. He answered a lot of questions for her, and he was handing the documents to the woman in her place. So she called the police and ended up saving this girl from trafficking. So that's where, if you suspect any form of human trafficking, call 911. Even if it seems like you could be wrong or you could be stirring up trouble or something like, don't worry about that. Just call the police, give them the information that you have. You could be saving a victim. Another thing to do after calling 911, that's the first thing you do is call 911, but call the National Human Trafficking Hotline. Their number is 1-888-373-7888, or you can text them at 233-733. These are all ways that you could be a teacher and suspect it with a student. You could be working somewhere and suspect it with a customer. The possibilities are endless, but these are the steps that you would want to take in that situation. In conclusion, I wanted to give a quote from one of my favorite men in history, and he was at the forefront of the battle to abolish slavery in England, William Wilberforce. He said, "You may choose to look the other way, but you can never say again that you did not know." And that's the thing about information, and the thing about giving out information is that it's in your head now, and hopefully you'll never have to use it. But you never know when these situations can occur. The difference in the battle that we're fighting now and what he was fighting in the 1800s is then it was legal. It was in your face. We're fighting a different battle now. Almost every nation in the world, this is illegal. Almost every country. However, it's in the dark places. It's in the shadows. And what we can do together, hopefully, is bring the light. Thank you.